Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, inshallah, we are gonna take meeting number 6. This meeting number 6 of this course M105, it talks about single dimensional array and strings. So we're going to discuss what is an array, how to create an array, what are the different operations in array, and we'll also talk the string class and how we input the strings and how we can find string equality, the two strings are equal or not, and some string methods that inshallah we'll discuss today. To start with, let's talk about a problem of reading 100 numbers, compute their average, find out how many numbers are above the average. Now here we see the input is 100 numbers. Let's say 100 integers. So what I have to do to read 100 integers is I have to take 100 integer variables. Those 100 integer variables, I need to add them all, divide by 100 to get the average. But we see that declaring 100 variables, adding them 100 variables, and then finding the average, and then finding how many numbers are above the average, then we need to compare every number with the average, every integer with the average, whether it is above, greater than the average, or it is less than the average. So here we see that declaring 100 variables and then using those 100 variables, let's say for example I declare it like int a1, a2, a3, a4, a5 till a100. It's a very long string, or I would say that it's a very lengthy declaration, that we declare 100 variables, and then if I want to add those variables, then a1 plus a2 plus a3 plus a4 plus until a100, then calculating the average, the total divided by 100 is the average, and then finding the numbers above the average. So we say that if a1 is greater than the average, then if a2 is greater than average, then if a3 is greater than average. So you see that it's very tedious and very lengthy process of doing such. Fine. Now to solve this problem of declaring 100 variables of same type, which hold the similar type of values, whether it is 100 variable or 1000 variables, Java provides a concept of arrays, and it is arrays concept is provided even in other programming languages by different names, and in some programming languages as arrays. So Java provides a concept of arrays to declare a set of a variable which can hold a number of values, 100 values, 200 values of same type. So today inshallah we are going to study what is an array, how we declare an array in Java, and what are the operations using an array, how we can solve this problem of reading 100 numbers, computing their average, and finding how many numbers above the average. That inshallah we'll study in today's session. The objectives of this session is to describe why arrays are necessary in programming, what is the necessity of the arrays in programming, to declare array reference variable and create arrays, to access array elements using indexes, because when we declare an array or when we create an array, it is a set of values, it's not a single value. Like you declare int x, x will hold a single value. But arrays, no. When you declare an array, it holds a set of values. It can be 10 values, 20 values, 100 values. Now these values we can access by their index. We give an index number for them. For example, the first value is, the index is 0. The second value, the index is 1, and so on. So we can access the elements by using the index. That inshallah we are going to study how to do that. The next objective is to declare create initialize array using the array initializer, and then we see some common array operations and to develop an invoke method with arrays. And we talk about a linear search algorithm that uses the array to find an element from a set of elements. Finally, we talk about the string class, how we create a string variables and comparison of two strings and some string operations and properties that we'll inshallah discuss in this meeting. Starting with the introduction to array. Array is a data structure that represents a collection of same type of data or a set of values having the same type. Whether it is an array of double, it means all the array will hold the double elements or the double values. If it is an array of integers, then all the elements should be integers. Let's say we create an array of integers of size 100. So all 100 elements should be of type integers. Not double or not any other type is allowed. Any type, other type value is allowed. Then we say like double array. Let's say okay, all the elements should be of type double. For example, you see here it says double my list is equal to new double of 10. This is creating an array of by the name mylist of type double, which can hold 10 double values or 10 element double elements. So which are, let's say this one, mylist is the name of the array which will refer to a set of values, 10 different values, wherein we can store 10 different double values. Fine, not integer values or not any other type of value except double. Only you can store the double values. Okay, fine. So this is the name of the array. MyList is the name of the array. This is from the programmer's side, that what you want to name the array. You name it as MyList or MyQ, or you name it as numbers or salary or employee ID. What you want to name that, you can name it. Fine. So, but you have to define what type of array, and with this square bracket, this says that this variable mylist is an array of type double. A new double of 10, so you are creating array here with the size 10. It means this array will hold maximum of 10 elements of type double. This array will hold maximum of 10 elements of type double. Now let us talk about the array types. The array types, we call them as a reference type. Basically Java types are divided into primitive types and reference type, and we have discussed this in the beginning of the course when we were discussing about data types in Java. There are two types, primitive types and reference type. Primitive type is all the Java provided primitive types like boolean, byte, char, short, int, long, float, double, what we have seen, by which we declare the variables. These are all primitive types. Fine. So primitive type variable is stored in its location in memory a value of its declared type. For example, if I say int x equals 10, so in the memory 10 will be stored, and x is referring to that memory, that is x is directly referring to the value 10 in the memory. Whenever we use x, so it comes to us as a value 10 from the memory. So let me show you this here. Like whenever I say, for example, int x equals 10, so in the memory what happens is 10 is stored and it is directly referring to the value the x is directly referring to the value 10 in the memory. Whenever I change x value, the value in the memory is also updated. This is primitive type. In all non-primitive types such as the string, the scanner class and the array, these are all reference type. Now reference type does not directly store or refer to the value. Instead, they refer to the address of the location in the memory where the value is stored. To understand it better, let's say that we have this code int a equals 10 and string s equals hello. Fine. So what happens in the computer memory, the value for integer is stored 10 and a is directly referring to that value 10 in the memory. Fine. Whereas when we create a string s is a reference type. A string is a reference type. This s in the memory, it will refer to some particular address. This address is of the memory, okay, which is 2307. Somewhere the address of the memory 2307 will hold this value hello in the memory. So here s is not directly referring to the value, it is referring to the memory location where the value is present. And that's why it is called a reference type. A reference type. Now what is the effect of storing like this? Why we store like this in a reference type? What is the effect of this? Now let us say that we write another code. Let's say b is equal to a. Int b is equal to a. What happens here? For the b in the memory, a value 10 is copied. The value of a is copied and it stores 10. So it means that now a is different, b is different. If you change b, it will not affect a. If you change a, it will not affect b, because you see there are two different values now. Both are 10, but they have different copies. They have their own memory, fine, in this computer. So if you change a, it will not affect. If you change b, and if you change b, it will not affect a. Whereas if I say string t is equal to s, then what happens? The value of the s is hello, which is not copied. Only the address is copied. S has address 2307, so the t will also get that address 2307. So when t gets the 2307, 2307 has one value hello, which both s and t is referring. So you can see in this diagram, both s and t will refer to the same memory location where the hello is present. So now the hello takes a space, one space, and that is for both s and t. That is for both s and t. This is the difference between the reference type and the primitive type. Fine. So there are two types here in Java. That is the reference type and the primitive types, and this is what the difference between the reference type and primitive types. All the primitive data types in Java are boolean, int, double, float, short, long, byte, char. These are all primitive data types. All other objects, strings, scanners or arrays, lists, these are all reference type. Okay, all objects is of type reference in Java. Now moving ahead, coming back to the arrays, we will see how we can declare an array. The general form or the basic syntax to declare an array is, first you write the data type, that what type of array you want to create, integer array or double array or float array or character array or boolean array, what type of array you want to create. First you write that, and then you put the bracket, the square brackets. This square brackets says that the next variable is an array. Then you write the name of the array variable. This is just a declaration. So like for example, I do here, let's say I do it like this, double, and then I put the brackets, square brackets. This says that the next variable what I write, for example, my list, it is an array. So my list is in array here. And now this is just a declaration. This is just an array declaration. This is array declaration. Fine. This is just a declaration. Fine. Okay. This there is another way you can declare it. You can put the square bracket at the end. This is also allowed, but it is not preferred. Fine. So let's say, for example, my double list. This is also allowed. Fine. But this is not preferred. Okay. The preferred one is the first one type. Okay. Then creating array. The first part what we did here is just a declaration. Now we need to create array by using the data type or by using the operator called new. Fine. Which will assign the number of spaces to the array or number of elements to the array, the size of the array. So let me just take out this. I say my list, which is the array, is equal to new double of 10. So this is initializing array, to call array creation or creating array. Fine. So we create an array by using the new operator, new double of 10. So this creates an array 10, referring my list of 0, the first element of the array, and my list of 9, the last element. Because 10 elements, starting from 0 to 9, it is 10 elements, right? From 0 to 9, how much it will be? Yes, 0 to 9 will be 10 elements. So starting from 0 to 9, it will be 10 elements. So with this, what we understand is that the array elements are indexed from 0 to the size minus 1. Indexed from 0 to the size minus 1. Okay. Now we can also put all these array, in one line, the array declaration and creation, we can put it in one line. It's very simple. Double array my list is equal to new double of 10. This is also true. So we can just comment this one. So we say that we can put both as true. Okay. So we can put both statements in one statement. That is a creation of array. Now the length of the array. Length of the array is the number of elements in the array. The number of elements in the array will give you the length of the array. So if you want to know the length, what is the length of my list? We call the length attribute of the array. System.out.println, the length of my list is plus my list dot length. Length is a variable here, so you can see that the length is 10. Yeah, the length is 10. So it is that number of elements that array can hold. The maximum number of elements is the length of the array. Okay. When we create an array, the array holds the default value, the elements as the default value. So the default value for integers will be 0, for double will be 0.0, for character will be the u/000, and let's say space character, I think, For boolean it is false. Fine. So array we have a default value for all the elements of the array. We'll have the default value. For example, let's say that we want to print and check that my list of 0 is what currently. My list of 0 is what currently. So you can say that my list of 0 is 0.0. That is the first element. My list of 9, that is the last element, is 0.0. Fine. What if I say my list of 10? What I will get here? Any idea? Yes. My list of 10 will be, yes, it is error. It is array index out of bound error, because 10 there is no value. I mean the index is only from 0 to 9, so it is not 10. So we can have from 0 to 9 any value. For example, my list of 5 is 0.0. That is the default values. Okay, but we can assign our own values. Whatever the values we want to assign, we can assign for the array. Indexed variable, the array elements are all indexed. The index is 0 based, starting from 0 to the length -1. The length of the array is the number of elements. -1 is the last index. For example, the my list. The length of the my list is 10, and the index is from 0 to 10 minus 1. That is length -1, 9. Okay. We can also access the elements of the array. We can update the elements of the array. We can enter the elements of the array by using the index. By using the index of the array. For example, we can say that, okay, this how we assign the new values to the array elements. One way to assign is this, by using the index. Let's say, for example, my list of 0 equals 10.1. Then my list of 1 equals 20.1, and then my list of 2 equals 9.5, then my list of 3 equals 8.9. So let's say I have 4 elements. I reduce the list to be 4 here. The length is 4, and I assign 4 values to the list. Now if I print this, I get the same value. This is because I updated the value here. I can print and check whether the values are updated. List of 0. So my list of 0, we should get the first value, 10.1, because we updated here. My list of 1, we get 20.1 because we updated. Similarly, my list of 3, we get 8.9 updated. Fine. So we can access the element, we can update the elements. Or sometimes, if you know the values, we can directly write a statement like this to initialize the array. Okay, so it can be like this, direct initialization, instead of writing all these statements. So let me write an array, double array of my list is equal to, open the brackets, put the elements 10.1, 20.2, 20.2, comma 8.9, comma 21.5, 4 elements. Fine. So now I can get, this is an array with the initialized values, and this is initializing the value at the time of declaration. So you can see that the length is 4 because we have the 4 elements here separated by comma, and the last value is 21.5, which is this one. If you take the first value 0, array index 0, you get the first element. Similarly, if you take 2, what value you will get? My list of 2 is, what is my list of 2? 8.9, yes. So you get 8.9. Fine. So we can initialize the array at the time of declaration. Fine. But this fashion is not allowed, what you see over here. This is syntax error. If you want to initialize at the time of declaration, you can go for this option. Or you can declare an array and then you assign the values. But first you declare an array, then you initialize it with the values. This is not true and this will generate a syntax error. Okay. Tracing the array, you can go through the array by the index as we saw. Let's say that we take this example, we have two arrays A and B. A is of size 3 and B is of size 5. A of 0 is the first element. So let's say this is an array A and this is array B. So the initial value is 0 for all the arrays for A and B because it is of type integer. So the default value for the integer is 0. Then we say A of 0 is equal to 3. So here it will be 3. A of 1 is A of 0 plus 2. So what is A of 0? What is A of 0? Yeah, 3. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So A of 1 will be 5. Similarly, A of 2 plus plus. What is A of 2? Initially it is 0. Plus plus will add 1 to it. So it will be 1. Okay. Now let's say int x equal A of 2. So what x will have? What is the value of x in this statement? No, 1, because A of 2 is, what is the value A of 2? 1. So it will store 1 in x. Then y equal A of 2 minus 1. A of 2 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So y will be having 0. Z equal A of 2 minus 1. A of 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it is A of 1. A of 1 is 5. So W will have 5. Sorry, Z will have 5. W equals A of 2. A of 2 is 1. And then A of 2 minus minus. So A of 2 will become 0. And W will have the value 1. Now, very interesting thing here is A equals B. What will happen at this point? At this point, the array is now A is pointing to array B. And this array is removed or discarded. The array A is discarded or removed and A is pointing to array B. This is the reference type because this is the arrays are the reference type. That's why this A equal B statement will assign the array A will be pointing to B. So if you change array A here now, if you change array here, A of length, now A of length is 5. 5 minus 1, 4, which is this one, plus plus, 0 plus plus is 1. Fine. So now A and B both are referring to the same array. If you change A will affect B. If you change in B will affect A because they are reference type. So this is how we can trace the array. We can go through the arrays. Okay. Tracing the array in program, we can do it simply by using the loop. Okay, by using the loop we can print the what is the value of the array, what are the elements of the array. We can easily print it by using the loops. For example, let's say that okay, I have this list, array of list, so I want to print the list. Simply we can print the list by using the array. For int I equals 0, sorry, the for loop, I less than my list, the array dot length I plus plus. Now I becomes the index here. Okay, so I'll print the index system.out.printf. Now let me print the index percentage d says percentage 8d comma I my list of I. first L capital. Okay, so you can see that how the array is printed here. Sorry. Okay, because it is F, this is F. Okay, let me put it to a next line here just to format this. Yeah, this is the index and this is the value. Fine. Call this. Okay, this is the value and this is the index. 0, 1, 2, 3 is the index and 10, 20, 8.9 is the value. We can suppress the decimal point to F. Okay, fine. So you can see the index and its value. So we can go through the array elements by what we call by for loop, by using the for loop, and we start the for loop with the index 0, I as the index 0 till the length of the array, So that's what you see the for loop, I0, I less than mylist dot length, I plus plus, till the length of the array. Fine. So we can print that by the index, mylist of 0, then mylist of 1. As the I is incremented, mylist of 0, mylist of 1, mylist of 2, mylist of 3, it will print the elements of the array. The first element 10.0, second 20.2, third 8.9, fourth 21.5. It will print that one by one. So this means that we can go through the arrays by using the for loop. Fine. Okay, we can do some simple operations using arrays, but before we go to the operations using arrays, let's talk about a named constant called by using the keyword called final. In Java, we can create the constant variables whose value will remain unchanged throughout the program. Constant, it means the value which remains unchanged throughout the execution of the program is called constants. So we can create constant variables or constant values in Java by using the keyword called final. So final variables are the constant variable, and that might be initialized at the time of declaring the array, and these value remain constant throughout the program. You cannot update that value throughout the program. Fine. So if you talk about, like, here you have array length, say array length of 10, final int array length of 10. So you can use this array length here to create the length, to create an array of that length. But array length is of type final. It means that array length is constant. This variable array length is constant, and you cannot change this value of this variable throughout the program. That's what the constant means. Similarly, we have the constant pi value dot what we use math.pi, okay, from the math class. That's also a final constant because pi value is fixed, will not change. Okay, so any value we write that we want to make a constant, a fixed value, we can make it by using the keyword final. Okay, initializing array and printing the arrays. We can initialize the array from the keyboard, or we can enter the array from the keyboard. Fine. So let's ask the user to enter the array elements. System.out.println, enter mylist.length array elements. Now to enter, again we use the for loop, int I equals 0, I less than the array mylist dot length I plus plus, and now we read the value into the mylist of I equals the scanner input dot next double. So we got to import the scanner object here. Import a scanner class, import java dot util dot scanner, and we create a scanner object over here. Scanner input is equal to new scanner of system dot in. Fine. So we read the values here into the arrays. Okay, and here we are printing the arrays. Okay, now let's see how we read it here. This is the length. Enter 4 array elements. Okay, so I enter here new elements like 100.5 first element, 100.6 second element, 100.8 third element, 99.9 fourth element. Okay, now after that it should get printed the index and the elements. Okay, so you can see the new elements are printed, that is what I enter, that is updated into the array. So this is how we can enter the elements to the array by using the for loop. So or simply you can simply just create an array here, array double array mylist is equal to new double of 4. Okay, so it says enter the elements, and then what you enter will be printed. Fine, I run it again, enter the 4 elements, 20.5, 10.11, 23.65, 22.32. So you can see here this is the index and with the elements. This is what I enter and these are what is printed. Okay, so we can print the elements of the array by using the for loop. We can initialize the array by using the for loop. So it means that for loop is important for traversing the array, going through the array. Summing all the elements in the array, we can sum up all the elements of the array. So let's take a sum variable int sum equals 0. Again we use the for loop, int I equals 0, I less than my list dot length, I plus plus sum equals sum plus my list of I, or what happened to, okay, let's keep the sum as double 0.0. Or you can also write something like this, sum plus equal, this is shorthand plus, shorthand operator, this is also true. Okay, so sum will have the sum of the arrays, so I can print the sum of the arrays, system dot out dot println the sum of array elements is plus sum. So now let's run, enter the 4 elements. I will enter 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. So what will be the sum? It is 10.0. That is 1.0, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. Okay, so we can do the summing of all the elements by using the for loop. We go through the index by index element and add to the total or sum. Similarly, we can find the largest element in the array. What will be the largest element in the array? We can find the largest element in the array. This is about the sum. Okay, let me do the largest element in the array. Let's consider the first element is the largest, is the maximum or the largest element. So I'll say okay, double largest equal my list of 0. So I will consider the first element is the largest, and now we compare the next element. For int I equals 1, I less than my list dot length I plus plus. Now why did I start here by 1? Because the first element we considered already as largest. So we have to compare it with the next element from the second element. So I start from 1. So I say my list. So I will compare now here. If my list of I is greater than largest, then largest equal my list of I. Okay, and now we can print system.out.println the largest element of array is of my list is plus largest. Now let's run, enter the elements 20.5, 33.6, 6.8, 100.2. The largest element is 100.2. Okay. Now if you want to find the smallest element, what we can do in this code, there is a small change to find the smallest element. What is that? And what we can do in this code, just to reverse it, to find the smallest element instead of largest. Yes. So we change this greater than to less than. If you change this greater than to less than, then you get the smallest element. See, says 20.5, 3.5, 40.2, 1.5. So you get the smallest element here, right? Fine. So it's the last smallest element. We get if we just change this symbol. So it is all this symbol. If it's greater than, you get the largest element, and if it is smaller, you get the smallest element. Fine. Okay. We can also do shifting of elements, that we want to shift the elements. So what we will do is we take the first element to temporary variable, we start the loop from 1, and we assign my list of I minus 1 is equal to my list of I. So it is my list of I is equal to into my list of I minus 1. And finally we say the last element is the temp. We say that length minus 1, the last element is the temp, which is the first element. Okay, this is called shifting of elements. Right? We can also do the shifting of elements one after the other by by using the for loop. Fine. Shifting of elements is also possible. Also analyzing the number, that is entering the number, finding the average, and finding the numbers which are above the average. The opening problem what we have seen can also be done here. Fine. So to find the average, we should have the sum. So we have the sum here. Okay, we can find the average as double average equal sum divided by my list dot length will give you the average. Fine. We can print the average. System dot out dot println the average of my list is plus avg average. Let me take out this largest statement just to find the sum and the average. Okay, 4 elements, 20.5, 10.5, 3.2, 5.6. The sum is this, and this is the average. Okay, now you see that these more precisions we can avoid by using printf. So it's better when you have the double value, we use printf, and to use printf we use %.2f, the access specifiers or the format specifiers. Okay, and by comma over here. So now you can see 20.5, 30.2, 6.5, 2.3. The sum is this and the average is 14.88. Okay, if we want to take it to the new lines, 10.2, 30.5, 2.5, 3.6, the sum is 46.8 and the average is 11.70. Now if you want to find what are the number of elements which is above the average, no problem, you can leave, Mr. Abdurrahman. Above the average, if you want to find the elements above the average, again we go through the for loop. Int I is equal to 0, I less than the mylist dot length, and then I plus plus. Fine. Now we check if mylist of I is greater than the average, then we take a count plus plus average count. We declare it here, int count is equal to 0. Okay, and we can print it here, system dot out dot println count elements are above average. Fine, so you can say 20.5, 3.2, 40.6 and 10.2. Okay, so there are two elements above the average. Let me put a /n here so that it will be clear. 20.2, 30.5, 10.1, 2 point, let's say 2.5. So you can see the average is 15.83 and there are two elements above the average. So it's two elements above the average. Fine. So this, we all do these operations on the array is by using the for loops. Okay, that is iterating through the array. So we go array element by element and check what we want to check, what we want to do. We want to add them, we want to find the largest or find the smallest, or find the above the average, below the average. All we can do is we use the loop, we iterate through it, we go element by element and we check all the elements of the array. So this is all basic operations on the array, summing all the elements, calculating the average, finding the largest, finding the smallest, and the finding element above the average, below the average and all. Okay, copying the arrays. Copying arrays here is copying one array into another array. There are two things here. We can copy the array, one array into the other array by using the equal statement, that is equals. For example, list1 equal list2. In this case, both array will refer to a single one array. The reference is copied. For example, let's say this is the list1 and this is list2. When I say list2 equal list1, list2 will also refer to the list1 array elements. So it means that both we are referring to the one single array, not two different arrays, one single array when you are using the equal operator. When you are using the equal operator. So here also, for example, I have the mylist array. Fine. So if I create a new array, let's say that double new list is equal to, so it should be array. For example, if we make it array, new list is equal to new double of 4. Okay, and now I'll say new list is equal to my list. So let us print the new list here. System dot out dot print ln the new list is for int I equals 0, I less than new list dot length I plus plus, and now I'll print what the system dot out dot prints ln new list of I. So you can see the new list is what we enter. For example, I enter 10.2, 20.3, 3.3, 6.2. So now the new list is also the same because I copied it. Now if I change anything in the new list here, new list of 3 equal 1.11. Okay, and now I print my list, okay, whether this will affect my list or not. 10.2, 10.1, 10.3, 10.4. okay, now you see that the new list, sorry, my list, now I am printing here my list is also affected. The last element of my list affected is changed to 1.1 because I updated here for new list, but it is also affected to my list. Why? Because they are now both referring to the one list. List 1, the my list and the new list both are referring to the one list. That's why it is called, this is what this is called the reference type. Okay, so one copying of the array is copying the reference. Another way to copy the array is to use the for loop and copy the elements of the array by using the for loop. So for example, I have this source array and this is a new target array. So I want to copy all the elements of the source array into the target array. So what I will do, I will put a loop and say sources of I, source array of I is to the target array of I. Target array of I is equal to source array of I. So every element I0, that is source array of 0, 2 is given to target array of 0. Then I1, 3, then 1, then 5, then 10. Now here two different arrays. Source array is different, target array is different. But they have the same content, same elements. Fine. This is by using the looping. So either you can copy the reference by using this direct equal operator, or you copy the elements by using the for loop, copy all the elements one by one, element by element to the target array. So this is what we copy the array from one array into the another array. Two ways you can do, either you copy the reference or you copy element by element. Element by element is by using the for loop. Copying the reference is just by equal operator. My list is equal to new list, or new list is equal to my list. Fine. The next topic is passing arrays to methods. Passing arrays to methods. So how we can pass an array to the methods? Similarly, like what we have seen in our previous session about the methods, we pass the value to the methods. That's called the parameters. Fine, the formal parameters. Now we can also pass the array to the methods. So passing array to the method is simply giving the array name when we invoke the method. So for example, this is a list and say print array of list. So it will go to the print array method, take that array and print the array. Fine. So when you invoke the method, the array, the list array is taken as a reference, okay, and will be taken to the print array, and you make the changes here. Fine. Or you print the array here. So in my case also, if I want to write the method print array, so let's say I will write a method here before the main. Let me write before the main, public static void print array of double A, say double array. Okay. Now I'll take the for loop, print for int I equals 0, I less than array dot length I plus plus, and say system dot out dot println array of I. Fine. So print array whenever I want to print the array. So here I am printing the array. Fine. Instead of writing this, I will just call the method print array of my list. I want to print my list. Okay. So it will call and print. Where else I am printing the array? Yeah, here I am printing the array. Fine. So here also I'll just call print array of new list. Fine. So when I call print array, when I run this program, when it calls print array, the my list array is taken here to the array, and that array is printed here, and it will come back. Fine. So you can see here now 10.2, 1.1, 2.3, 2.5. So now it is printing here. First it is printing here. Okay, and then it is also printing the new array here. Fine. So passing array to the method is also possible. It is passed by reference, not passed by value. Primitive types are passed by value, and we have seen in the last session what is passed by value. When we pass an element, a primitive type data to a method, the method takes the copy of the data, and the original data in the main method remains same. Okay. Whereas reference type, if you change anything in the method, will also affect the array in the main method, the invoking array in the main method. That is the reference type. It's called pass by reference. Similarly, if you see this example, we have an primitive type int x equal 1, and we have a y as in reference type, as an array. We call m of x comma y. So x is what? 1, and y is an array. Okay, integer array with the default value 0, all zeros. In this m method, we take that x into number 1, number is 1, and numbers is y. We change the value of number to 1001, and we print it, the number is 1001. Okay. Before we change it, we print the number is 1. After changing, we print again, number is 1001 because we change. Now numbers of 0, we change it to 555. We print it here, we get 555. Now this method finishes the job here and go back here. Now it print x. The x is 1 again here. The x was updated here to 1001, but the original remains the same because it is passed by value. Only the copy of x is given to number, and the number is changes, does not affect x value. Whereas the numbers is the reference type, y is given to numbers, we change numbers of 0, y of 0 is also changed. That is because it is a reference type. Okay. So the strings, the objects are all reference type. We can pass the reference type to the methods. Okay. So this simple example is showing you that what is the difference between the pass by value and pass by reference. Okay. If you see this in the system by stack, okay, when we pass the x value to the method, m method, the value 1 is copied, whereas when we pass the array, the reference of the array is taken. So that is referring to the main array here. So it is referring to the main array. Whatever you change in the main array will affect here in the method, will also affect in the y. That's a call stack. Fine. One search operation. 1 minute, please. Okay. So searching an array. This is one of the problem of the array called searching an element in the array. We have a method called a linear search. Linear search is nothing but searching or finding an element in the array by comparing it to all the elements of the array. Okay. So for example, that we want to find a key value in the list. Okay. So what the linear search will do, will match the key with all the elements. When there is a match, it will return the index. Where is the match? Otherwise, it will return -1. Fine. This is what the linear search is. Okay. The searching algorithm, we can say, for example, this is a linear search method. It takes the array list and the key. The key we want to search in the list. The key we want to search in the list. So we go through the list. We say if key is equal to list of I, we return I. If there is no element, we return -1. Okay. Now let us write this method over here. So I write a method here, the search method, linear search method, public static int linear search of the array int list comma int key. I want to search key in the list. So I write for int I equals 0, I less than list dot length I plus plus. If key is equal to list of I, we return the I, and stop. Else we return what? -1. -1, it means element not found. Okay. Okay, let me just take out all this and we just concentrate on, we print the list. Okay, now I will call system.out.println of linear search of my list as array, comma the key value, what I want to find. Okay, let's say I want to find 2.5. I want to find 2.5. I want to find double key as double. Okay, so I'll say my list 2.5. This is double list. Say that. Okay. Or let me take the key here. Double key equals 2.5. Let's say that key found at linear search 2.5 plus position. This is all formatting. Okay, so I want to find 2.5 in the list. So let's say I will enter 10.5, 2.5, 3.2, 6.5. I have 2.5 at the second position, at the index 1. Okay, so I will see 2.5 found at first position, that is first index. Let's say this as index, not position. Okay, so I want to find 2.5. Let's say 2.5, 3.5, 6.2, 3.5, 2.5 at 0 index. Okay, or let's ask the user to enter what? To enter the element to find. System.out.println enter element to find in my list, and we read the key equals, sorry, double key equals, and put dot next to double, and we take out this 2.5, and here it is the key. Fine. So let's say I enter the elements 2.5, 3.6, 10.1, 2.2. Now enter the element to find in my list. Which element you want to find? You want to find 10.1. 10.1 is at the second index. It's from here. This is at the second index. Okay. Similarly, if I've tried to find which is not there, like I have 0.5, 3.2, 6.5, 2.5, and the element I want to find is 1.2, then it is -1. -1, it means the key is not found. Key is not found. Okay. So this way we can, this is what we call the linear search. Linear search. Okay. So the linear search algorithm is to find an element in a list. Find an element in a list. So it will find the element by comparing the elements, element by element. It will compare where there is an element found. It will return the index where the element is found. Okay. So that's all about the arrays. It's what we discussed is all about the single dimensional array. So as a summary of arrays, what we have taken is starting with declaration of the arrays, creating an array, and how we can assign the values to the array, and how we can access the elements of the array by using the index, and what are the different basic operations using the array, that is summing up all the elements, finding the average, finding the minimum or the smallest element, finding the maximum or the largest element, and finding the average and checking what are the elements above the average or below the average. And finally we see a linear search algorithm. Also we have talked about passing array to the methods. It's passed by reference. Okay, and we talk about the last part, the linear search using the single dimensional array. So that's what we have in the arrays. The next topic we have here is the strings. So the string, here we'll talk about what is a string and how we write, how we create the string, and different operations using the string, different methods of the string. Okay, we have taken this before, I think in the third meeting about the string, or third or the second meeting about the string. The strings are nothing but a set of characters. We can create a string by using the class called string in Java. So string, we can create a set of strings. For example, a string S1, S2, S3. These are all strings, string objects. We can assign value to the string. S1 is equal to welcome. This is one way. The other way, by using the new operator, S2 is equal to new string of to Java. The third way is we can add two strings, S1 plus S2, that is welcome to Java. We can print the string directly, S3 for example, welcome to Java. We can create a blank string by using the new operator. For example, S4 is equal to new string is equal to the same like this, creating a blank string. We can add a string to the existing string, like S4 plus good day. Now S4 will be good day. We have the method called length. The length is the number of characters in the string, including the spaces. What is the number of characters of S4? If you count S4 here, 3 plus 1, 4 plus 4, 8, including this space also. So it is total 8 characters. So the length is 8. char at function. The char at function is to give you the character at the index, because the strings is also represented, or the characters of the strings are also in the form of we can access them by using the index. So like for example here, welcome, the S1 of 0 is W, S1 of 1 is E, and so on. Let me do it for you here. I'll add a new Java class called string operations. Okay, I will add a main method here, public static void main of string arguments. It's a string S1. Okay, S1 equal welcome. We can print this. I'm sorry. System.out.println of S1. So you can see now here, welcome. Okay, we can print character by character also by using the index. Println of S1 of 0. You see S1 of 0 is, what happened to this? S1 char at 0. Okay, S1 dot char at 0. So you can see char at 0, the first character W, char at 1, the second character E, char at 2, the third character L, char at the S1 dot length minus 1, the last character, which is E, the last character here, E. So we can use the char at and the index to get a particular character of a string. Okay, so class string provides various constructors to create a string and initialize it. We can create a string in this way, directly initializing it, or by using the new operator, or adding 2 or more strings and assigning to the other string, and so on. We can do that. Okay, length of the string, will get the length of the string, that is the number of character in the string. I think we have seen here. No, we can print the length of the string also. System.out.println the length of S1 is plus S1 dot, sorry, length. So what is the length of welcome? It is 7 characters. You can say this is 7 characters. If I add welcome 2, how much it will be? 10 characters. 10 how? This is 7 welcome, 2 characters, 9 plus 1 is space. So even the space or any special character which is in double quotes will be counted as a character. Fine. This is the length of the character. So we can also find like how many A's are there in a particular string, how many B's are there in a string, and so on. How many characters are present in a string, particular characters are present. That is called the frequency of characters in a string. So let's say for example, I have the string is Arab Java world. Okay. Now I want to find in this string S1 how many capital A are there, or what is the frequency of capital A. So I can go through character by character. For int I equals 0, I go through the index, I less than the S1 dot length and I plus plus. So I'll check if S1 dot char at I is equal to capital A, I will take the count as A count plus plus, right? So let me declare this A count here, int A count equals 0. Now I can print here system dot out dot println there are plus A count is in S1. Like say S1 is Arab Java world, right? So I'll put it here. What happened? Legal expected end of a statement. There are system.out.println int println, okay. There are plus A count plus is in S1. What happened to this? System.out.println there are I am writing this out of the system.out.println there are plus A count is in S1. Okay. Now welcome to Java. There are 3 capital A's. One is here, the other 2 is here. Okay. So this way we are using this caret, and by using this length for loop and the length function, we can find the characters, a particular character in a string. Fine. Okay, here we see the string equality. So for example, let's say that we create 2 strings here. S1 is equal to hello, the other is S2 is equal to new string of hello. These are 2 different methods of creating the string. These are 2 different methods. So they are 2 different references. Before we have seen that the strings are the reference type. The strings are the reference type. And now we are creating 2 different strings, S1 and S2. They are 2 different reference type. They are not referring to the same. Their contents are same, but they are referring to 2 different objects. So S1 is hello here and S2 is hello, 2 different objects. If you see S1 equals S2, they are different objects. So this is false. It will go to the else and say they are different object. S1 and F2 are different. But if you check with equals, this equal function will check the contents hello and hello. They are same, they have the same contents. They have the same contents. Similarly, if I create S3 hello and I say S4 is equal to S3, now S4 and S3 refer to only one object. And in the same fashion, if I create S5 with the same content, that is also referred to the same. So in this case, S3 equal to S4 and S4 is S5 is also equal to S3 and S4. Now this is also to compare the references of the string. It is not only to compare the numbers, it is also to compare the references, that S1 and S2 they are referring to the same object or not. Here S3, S4 and S5 referring to the same object, same value, whereas S1 and S2 referring to two different objects. Okay, so equals, double equal will compare the references, equals method will compare the contents, okay. Fine. So class string, when primitive values are compared equal, the result is true if both are identical. When reference are compared like the string, the equal will return true if both refer to the same object. Otherwise it will return false. The equals test will compare two strings has the same value or not, same string. If they have the same content, it will return true, otherwise it will return false. Okay. So Java treat all string literals as an object of strings and it has a reference. So they are the reference type. Okay, so this is all what you have for in this meeting, meeting number 6, and in this topic strings. Okay, so this meeting number 6 talks about two topics. One is the arrays, and we have seen the array and the summary of the array, and the second topic is the strings, and we just saw the strings. So this talks about what is a string and how we create a string, and string methods like char, at, length, and how we can check characters of the string, how we can print the length of the string, check the string character by character, number of characters in a string, and we saw is the string comparison. The double equals operator will check the references, returns true or false, and the equals method, dot equals method, will check the contents. If they are same, it will return true, otherwise false. This is all what we have for this meeting number 6, arrays and the strings. So inshallah in our next meeting we will talk about more on arrays, that is two-dimensional arrays. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, please go ahead.